Days Gone is getting a nice PC upgrade. Jim Ryan, of all people, calls me out over Balan. What's up with Labo and Mario Kart 9 for the Switch? Yeah, we got a lot of stuff to talk about in this video, so the intro is going to be short and sweet. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and like the video. But without any further ado, let's talk about what's going on in the world of video games. So Days Gone, of course, has been somewhat of a hot topic over the past week. Allegedly, Sony Bend was pitching Days Gone 2 to Sony, and Sony said no thank you. The game got bad Metacritic scores, even though, well, it sold well and was profitable for the company. So there's been a lot of stuff going on with Days Gone as of late. Well, the original Days Gone is, of course, the next PlayStation exclusive game to be coming over to the PC, and yesterday it was detailed what the PC version was going to have in a brand new trailer and announcement from Sony. Basically, this game will now feature 21:9 ultra widescreen support. If you have one of those cool big fancy monitors, it'll have an unlocked frame rate, more details, and better draw distance. Now, Days Gone is a game that, like I've said a bunch of times, I thought it was pretty mediocre. I didn't really enjoy it. I played it for a few hours, never really got super into it or anything like that, but it is strange that Sony decided not to do a sequel for the game, especially considering you already have the groundwork laid down for this game. But if you are a Days Gone fan and you want to experience it in a better way than you can even experience it on your PlayStation 5, on May 18th, the game will be heading to PC. I won't be picking it up or anything like that. I don't play PC games, but maybe you're one of my 7 viewers who does enjoy PC gaming and is always looking for the latest PC gaming news, so you've come to the right place. Let me know in the comment section down below if you plan on picking up Days Gone for your PC. Next up, you might remember a game that, I don't know, maybe I talked about it once or twice on the channel, maybe I did give it a little bit of hype, and that was, of course, Balan Wonderworld, Balan Wonderworld. I don't care what you say, I say Balan, I think it sounds fancier, but maybe I should say Balan because this game is anything but fancy. Of course, when the game came out, it was an absolute atrocity. Being led by Yuji Naka, it seemed like maybe this was a reform to great prominence that Yuji Naka used to have with games that he did with Sonic Team. It looked a lot like a AAA Knight spiritual successor. You had a little dude with the hat, he's flying around, you play as various kids and you get different costumes and stuff. Look, this game had a lot going for it, okay? And then Square Enix made a very bad decision. They decided to release a demo for Balan Wonderworld, and wow, I mean, let's just take a clip here from our demo impressions of this game. So as you can see, I was not too thrilled with this demo because demos are really weird when it comes to the world of video games. Obviously, when you have a big AAA game, something like the upcoming Resident Evil Village, which is getting yet another demo over this weekend, a game like Final Fantasy VII Remake, these are games that people want to be able to check out. When you have a smaller game, the smaller game demos are pretty much make or break for these games. I feel like that really plays a factor into whether people are going to want to pick up this game or not. And really, this Balan demo was just absolutely atrocious. Like it exposed all of the flaws of this game and just showed what this game was going to be. And of course, the game completely flopped. It flopped everywhere in the US and Japan, and it just seems like this was a terrible decision. Well, this demo has now been pulled from no matter what storefront you have, the Nintendo Switch, the PSN, the Xbox, you are no longer able to download this demo, and that's probably pretty smart. You shouldn't have put out a demo in the first place. But where things get really weird is, yesterday it was drawn to my attention that a petition is going around from Jim Ryan, of all people. Hi, Jim. I know you're a big fan of me, and I'm a big fan of you. But yes, there is a petition on change.org that I should have made a follow-up video, even though I did make a follow-up video with the demonstration of the game, that I should talk a little bit more about Balan. So here we are. I am a man of the people. I will listen to this change.org petition, even though no companies ever do. Please keep that in mind. But yes, this is my follow-up video. The whole game was a mess, and you really got to see this mess with the demo that, of course, has now been pulled. I really think Yuji Naka is a lot like John Romero. John Romero, of course, you know, Doom, like John Romero was awesome, and then he made Daikatana and it was like, okay, and then there were other projects, and then we got Empire of Sin, and it's like, maybe he's not as good as we remember him, and maybe that's the situation with Yuji Naka. Maybe there's just a loss in translation here. Maybe there's just a loss with a connection to the video game industry. I really feel like Balan had some cool ideas. It's just the execution of the game was just so piss poor. So yes, Jim Ryan, I am listening to you. Here is my follow-up on Balan, and yeah, it's just absolutely crazy. Speaking of Square Enix, late last night, allegedly they were up for sale and Sony was maybe going to buy them, and then Square Enix came out this morning and said, no, we're not for sale, we're doing fine. And I mean, I don't see why Square Enix would be for sale. Right now, a company like Square Enix, a company like Capcom, is clearly thriving in the third-party industry. They're putting games across multiple platforms and making hand over fist with money. Of course, there are games like Balan that completely flop, but of course, Square Enix has a lot of positivity going for them right now, much like Capcom. So I always thought this was sort of a non-story, and then the fact that this sort of came out as a story, that they were being potentially purchased, and then of course now they're not being purchased. I don't know, maybe somebody just jumped the gun with this, but yes, Square Enix is not for sale, but Balan Wonderworld is for sale. So if you want to pick up Square Enix's latest game, be my guest, because there's no way in hell I'm paying $60 for that game. Moving right along, of course, the other day we talked about the Nintendo Indie World presentation. I really liked it. A lot of people didn't seem to really like it, but you know, that's the whole thing about these presentations. That's the whole thing about presentations in general, is you have to look at the games, and if the games aren't necessarily for you, you're probably not going to like the presentation. But when you're showing me some cool games like that Aztec game, when you're showing me games like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, a more in-depth look at it, and of course when you're showing me House of the Freaking Dead, I'm going to be very excited, and I'm going to think this was a great presentation, tailor-suited to me. But of course, after I made my video, a brand new trailer, an extended trailer, went up for the House of the Dead remake. Now, at the time of the filming of my original video, all I had was that little snippet that was in the third-party sizzle reel in that video. But afterwards, like legitimately right after the presentation wrapped up, Forever Entertainment put up an extended trailer for this game. And I just want to talk about it very briefly because I think this looks absolutely amazing. When you look at Forever Entertainment, of course, they were a part of the Panzer Dragoon remake. And a game like Panzer Dragoon, like all you really had to do was clean the game up because it had a really unique visual style. But when you're talking about a light gun game that's sort of older like House of the Dead is, I think you have to do a little bit more with it to make it attractive to people who have never experienced the game before. Me personally, you could put the Japanese Saturn version of the game with the green blood and all on the Nintendo Switch and I would buy it at a premium price. I don't care. But I love this visual style that they're using. It definitely looks very dark and gritty. But one thing that's like the big question is, how are they going to work the controls into this game? I really hope that they utilize a Joy-Con, and yes, I will use a Joy-Con to play this stupid game if I have to, even though I'm very anti-Joy-Con, because I want that light gun experience. Now, they also said that they are doing House of the Dead 2 as well. Now, House of the Dead 2 has had some re-releases. Of course, it was available on the Wii, but as far as the original House of the Dead is concerned, it was only ever released on the Sega Saturn, and then it got a PC version as well. So we haven't seen the original House of the Dead in a very long time. I'm super excited for this game. I'm going to have a link to the trailer in the description box down below. Go show them some love because they're absolutely doing a fantastic job with this game thus far from what we've seen, and I cannot wait to see more of it. You know what I don't like? Labo. Like, if you have followed my Labo chronicles, you would know that Labo is a very difficult thing for me. I remember God of War for the PS4 and Labo came out on the same day. I purchased them. I did a live stream of me trying to construct Labo and it did not work for me. And I hated it. I hated it. I hated it. I understood that the fun was in the building, maybe not necessarily in the game itself and actually experiencing it, but I was just not a Nintendo Switch Labo fan. Of course, there have been other iterations of Labo, the Labo VR kit. Hey, that was a lot easier to use. Now, granted, it didn't really look all that good, but it was at least a little bit easier to use. But when it comes to Nintendo Labo, it was kind of like, well, what's the future of this? What is Nintendo going to do in the future with this Labo brand? Are they going to extend in more things? Are they going to look at this? Are they going to look at that? Well, it seems like Nintendo has gone in a complete 180 with Labo and is now pretty much throwing the dirt on the grave of Labo because the official Labo homepage, labo.nintendo.com, no longer exists. It actually brings you to the Labo VR headset when you go to visit that website, as discovered by someone on Twitter. So to me, this is pretty much Nintendo moving away from Labo, which, like I said, I don't hate the concept of Labo. I think if you are someone who likes to do things like build Legos and stuff like that and create your own sort of thing, it's cool. The problem with Labo is once you build it, like the building is supposed to be the fun part, because once you start to experience the stuff, it's games that you want to play for a few minutes, but it's not anything that's going to really hold on to you and really, you know, sort of captivate you as a new way to experience a game. It's more of a gimmick sort of thing, which there's nothing wrong with gimmicks, but I sort of equate it to like old Intellivision games or old Atari 2600 games, where most of the games you play for 5 to 10 minutes and then you're like, okay, next thing. And that's sort of the feeling I got with Labo. Once you built it up, it was like, is there really anything to really sort of experience with this? So it definitely seems like Nintendo is shying away from Labo. Maybe this was a decision that was made early in the Nintendo Switch's development cycle to sort of help catapult sales of it. And then Nintendo realized, hey, we don't need something like a gimmick with this because all of our hardware and all of our games are selling so well. So if you're one of the few die-hard Labo fans out there, it doesn't look like you'll be getting anything soon within the new Labo universe. Of course, you started to see Labo sort of creep into other things like Mario Kart Live Circuit. That obviously was sort of inspired by Labo, the whole cardboard thing anyways. So I sort of could see things like that happening, but as far as the Labo branding itself is concerned, it definitely looks like it's on the way out from Nintendo, and I can't say I'm sad about it, but maybe you are, so let me know in the comments down below. And finally, is there bad news for Mario Kart 9 on the Nintendo Switch? I'd say yes, and this is an article that was posted by VentureBeat based on some information that we got today, and it's something that I completely agree with because it's actually something that I've talked about before on the channel. So a lot of this is stemming from the fact that the latest NPD numbers, which of course tracks game sales in the United States, just went out, and across all of platforms, across all the games that have been released forever, the number 6 selling game in the month of March was Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on the Nintendo Switch. This game will not stop selling. It sells ridiculously well. It is the top selling Nintendo Switch game with really no end in sight if it's leading in the top 10 of NPD numbers across all systems. It's a game that has really taken on an identity almost of its own. Like, it's just absolutely amazing to see how well this game is selling. Well, because of these sales, now a lot of people are starting to question, is Nintendo going to even bother with a Mario Kart 9 on the Nintendo Switch? Now, you can make some cases for it, and you can make some cases for against it. When we're talking about cases for it, of course, it's not outside the realm of possibility for Nintendo to release multiple sequels on a single system. We have Breath of the Wild, of course, and Breath of the Wild 2 is coming to the Nintendo Switch, Splatoon 2, and Splatoon 3, and that's what sort of people are talking about when it comes to this. But a game like Breath of the Wild is a story-driven game. It's a game that you can expand upon very easily, with it just within the story if you absolutely have to, but of course there's going to be new gameplay mechanics and of course new areas to visit. There's a lot you could do with Breath of the Wild and just story-driven games in general. A game like Splatoon 2, I honestly feel like Splatoon 2 was originally going to be a Wii U game, but once the Wii U sort of just fell off a cliff, they moved that project over to the Nintendo Switch because it came out so early in the Nintendo Switch's life cycle. And once again, an online multiplayer shooter game, you could do a lot with it. You can expand upon it a lot. What can you really do with Mario Kart 9? Like, that's sort of the problem that we reached with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, because you added in that battle mode that everyone wanted. You added in additional tracks via DLC on the original Mario Kart 8 that are now included in there. You've also sort of expanded this franchise from just Mario Kart to almost like Nintendo Kart, because now you have characters like Link in the game. Now you have Inklings in the game. Now you have maps based on Animal Crossing and F-Zero. Would you be able to still call it Mario Kart if you expand beyond it? But really, the biggest reason why Nintendo isn't going to want to do this is because your game is already selling. Your Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is already selling, and from a business perspective, does it really make sense to put out a sequel to a game that's still selling ridiculously well? Like, I just don't see it happening anytime soon. And you know, it's a game that's been heavily rumored. It's a game that would make sense, because I would feel like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe initially was just supposed to hold people over until a Mario Kart 9 was announced. But when you look at the landscape of video games, it's like, is it really necessary? What more can you do within the Mario Kart universe? Like, I just feel like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is like the apex of the series, because they did such a great job with it by adding in new tracks for the Wii U version of the game, by adding in new game modes for it as well. And it's like, what do you do? Where do you go with this? So this is a question that I kind of want to pose to you guys, because I don't think we're going to see Mario Kart 9 anytime soon. But what do you do with this franchise? Do you move into more of a Nintendo Kart style thing where you have characters from other franchises that aren't necessarily directly involved with Mario himself? Do you do that with the levels as well? How do you expand upon this game to make it so that it's worth cannibalizing the sales of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe? Please let me know in the comment section down below, because I feel like this is going to be a very hot topic, and I'm very interested to hear what you guys have to say. All right, so we covered a lot of stuff in this video. Like I said, I did not make a video yesterday because I was doing adult things, but you know, it might work out for me in the long run. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe a little background change coming in the next few months. Who knows, people? Who knows? But let me know your thoughts on everything in the comments section down below. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Be sure to check out other videos on the channel as well. And as always, I will catch you guys on the next one. Go Knicks, baby! Go Knicks! No Knicks slander on this comment section. You can't deny us. 4 in a row. We're going for 5 against Dallas. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later.